So a little birdie told me that you want to completely transform your life and become the best version of yourself in every possible area, not just in one area. And if that little birdie was right, then you're in luck. Now, I'm going to explain way more in this video, but shifting to a higher state of being means you're not just attracting one thing over here, one thing over there, kind of getting what you want, kind of being happy, but still living in the world of up and downs. That's not the life that we want. That's not the only reality that exists out there for us to tap into. We get to tap into a permanent state where things are just always naturally coming to you effortlessly, with ease, just living in an overall higher state of mind, which not only attracts things to you faster, easier, more effortlessly, but you're also having fun and happiness and feeling joy in the process of manifesting all of these things. When you raise your consciousness to a higher state, you are opening the floodgates to attract anything you want, not just limited to one specific desire at a time, but having endless blessings and endless positive things coming into your life. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Rosa, and if this is the first time that you're seeing my face, then welcome. It's so nice to have you here on the channel. If you're interested in getting one-on-one coaching with me, checking out my free webinar on self-concept, or purchasing my brand new book called Becoming a State Shifter, which I have available in both the physical copy version, which I'm personally shipping out to the US and Canada only right now, and then there's also a digital version if you live anywhere else in the world or if you just don't want the physical copy. So of course, the topic of today's video is about becoming a state shifter. Now, even though I go way more in depth in the book on how to become a state shifter, because obviously it's a book and there's only so much I can express through video, in this video, I'm gonna share with you what exactly it means to be a state shifter and how you can become one. Because first of all, if you would have asked me 1 year ago if it was possible to live in a world where you are just constantly feeling good and feeling like the creator of your life, feeling confident in yourself, confident in your ability to attract the things that you desire simply because you exist. If you would have said that to me a year ago, I would have said, you know, it's a cute little fantasy, a cute little idea, but no. I would have completely denied the idea of this realm. No, because I did generally believe in manifestation, and I've been studying manifestation since I was 16 years old. I had a solid foundation in the idea of manifestation. I did believe in it, and I did see results in my life, but not to the extent and the speed and the actual enjoyment that I'm actually experiencing now since raising my state of being. And because I was able to see such drastic changes in my life in such a short amount of time, that's why I'm so freaking passionate today about getting on camera and sharing these messages with you guys. Now, I know I rambled on a little bit, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit and explain what does it mean to be a state shifter and how do you actually become one. So now the way that I would describe states is a little bit differently than what I've been seeing online. So for example, a lot of people would say that states are like the sort of the conditions in your world. So a state of consciousness could be a state of poverty, a state of wealth, a state of happiness, a state of sadness. Now, I would consider these to be attributes in one of two states. So I believe that there are really two states that we can reside in at any given time. And those states are what I call the miraculous world and the illusionary world. So every single condition in our world, every single attribute that we could feel, that we could identify ourselves with, exists in one of these two states. Now, I'm going to break down briefly what these two states are so you kind of get an idea and you're with me on these two states of consciousness that we could be living in. So the first state of consciousness is the world of illusions. So you and I, we know this world very well. The world of illusions is the 3D world. It's the world of logic, of our senses. It's where our ego exists. It's what separates you and I. It is what creates doubts. It's what creates fears, pain. And even science is telling us now that it only makes up less than 0.0001% of true reality, which is consciousness, which is energy. In this illusionary world, this is where all of our negativity resides. It's in this realm where we're feeling constant confusion, constant up and downs. Feel emotions like sadness and anger, uncertainty. And therefore, when we're living in a state where we feel these things, that then attracts those kind of things to produce more of that state towards us. Now, the miraculous world is actually not miraculous at all. It is the true reality. It is the 99.99999% reality that is more real than what we would call reality based on our limited human perception of our logic, our five senses, this 3D world. The miraculous world is the 5D world. In this true world, miracles are just a natural state. It's the world of imagination. It's the world of consciousness. It's the world of intuition, of the God that lives within us, our soul, our higher self, of constant happiness, constant riches and abundance, freedom. All positive things exist in this miraculous realm. And remember, this is a state of consciousness that we're talking about, because all changes begin in our state of consciousness. When we're living consciously in the miraculous world, our life is going to reflect to us always our state of being. So if we're naturally always in the miraculous realm, then we're constantly going to be attracting things that are alike to the miraculous realm. If we're constantly in the world of illusions, we're constantly going to be attracting things that affirm the things that we are assuming in that world of illusions. The key here is that we need to be able to notice the difference. Living in this state of being, of living in the miraculous world, we are constantly attracting blessings naturally. We're living in a state of certainty. We're living in a state of happiness. Things like riches, health, beauty, all our manifestations coming towards us quickly. These are all results that come to us from living in the miraculous world. The best version of you, the highest self version of you, the God that lives within you, is living in the miraculous world. It is up to us to tune our consciousness, raise our consciousness up to align ourselves with the miraculous world, attract things that are for our highest good and the things that our soul and higher self really wants for us, rather than staying stuck in the world of illusions, being constantly brought down. The things that you want for yourself, that is your truth. That is your higher self. Don't believe the illusions that your ego is feeding you, telling you that you cannot do the things that you want to do, that your desires should be repressed, or that you're not good enough to receive your desires. Anything that gets in the way, that is resistance towards you getting your desire, that only exists in the illusionary world. And we, as the creator of our reality, have the choice of which state of consciousness we live in any single given moment. The truth is that our 3D world, the external world, is all a reflection of our internal state. Life exists in our mind. So if we want to change our external world, we need to start at the root, at the cause, not at the effect, because the external world is just an effect of our consciousness. Everything first begins in consciousness and manifests itself into reality. Even if it's subconscious, it's still living in the greater, higher dimensional realms of consciousness that we do not have conscious access over. We still have our limitations naturally of our human body. But because we have the God that lives within us, because we have access to this higher intelligence, we can rise above it. And that is what makes humans so different from any other animal species, is that we have this ability to rise above our animalistic tendencies. Now you might be thinking, all right, great, this is a beautiful Lala idea, but how do I actually practically switch my state? And is it even a possible reality to be living in this beautiful realm of the miraculous realm that I'm talking about, where, you know, to the normal everyday people, it seems like it's absolutely impossible to live in a state of constant happiness, constant blessings. And I'm here to tell you today, it is absolutely possible. I have done it myself. Now, why is it that we want to manifest things, anything? It's to feel happier, right? We feel like there is a lack, some sort of lack in our life, and there's a potential that we could feel better, that we could be happier, that we could have more. That is why our desires come to us, so that we can constantly elevate ourselves, elevate our lives, rise above the current state that we're at, and elevate. That's why we desire things, and that is why our desires are meant to be manifested, because we're meant to constantly evolve ourselves in this life. Now the truth is, and I don't really hear this being talked about a lot, but is that what happens after a lot of people get their manifestations is they don't get that full fulfillment from their manifestation. I mean, think about someone in your life, or maybe it's you, where you get the thing that you desire, but you're still not happy. You're still not content with where you are. Life is just a constant cycle of wanting things, getting things, and then feeling like unhappy in your life. And this is because you are living in the illusionary world in your consciousness and not in the miraculous world. What is the point of getting the world when you're not going to be happy in the process? That is where shifting your state comes in. So even more importantly than the external world and what we're getting and receiving in the outer world, what's even more important than that is our internal state. How do we feel every single day, day in and day out? I feel like that is the most important thing that we should be manifesting, is how do we feel on a consistent basis? How are we viewing the world around us? We can manifest everything in the world, but be mentally living in our own personal hell. And the thing is, when you're living in this lower state of consciousness, it then creates more things that you seek out to be wrong, and it's like a cycle. You will always see proof in your external world of what you are subconsciously looking for and assuming for. It's like the confirmation bias in psychology. You're always going to see and get reflected back to you what you are looking for, because what you focus on grows. Your assumptions create your reality, law of assumption. Your inner state produces your external world. So when you're consciously or subconsciously looking and assuming for things to be wrong, that then manifests as you seeing more things to be wrong, and thus creating a cycle of seeing things to be wrong, then manifesting things to be wrong. And then because you've manifested things to be wrong, you're now seeing things to be wrong. And then because you're seeing things to be wrong, that's what your focus is on, you're creating more of that towards you. That is this vicious cycle of living in the illusionary world. So what's the solution? Our solution is to change what our dominant focus is. Manifest the state and the feeling that you would have if you were to already realize that desire. Because it's really the feeling that we're searching out of the things. That's where the light is in the things that we want to manifest. It's not in the actual thing. It's the light that we're receiving from it. But if mentally, in our consciousness, in our imagination, which is the only reality, if we're mentally living in our wish already fulfilled, then really what is the difference if it's in our reality or not? You're feeling already mentally whole, mentally like I'm living in the miraculous world. I'm living mostly in the world of my imagination where I have the thing that I desire. I feel the way I want to feel. And then the paradox is, as soon as you feel that way, that is when it reflects to you back in your reality. But the first step is to first feel as if you're already that version. Saturate your mind with the feelings and the thoughts that you would think if you were to have already realized your desire. The fulfillment from our manifestations doesn't just come from obtaining things, but it's from obtaining the fulfillment from those things, the light that lives within those things. And the way we do that is by feeling the light from those things before it even comes into our life. We feel grateful for the thing before it's even in our life. We feel content, we feel happy in ourselves at all times because we're living in a state of consciousness that is the miraculous realm, 5D reality, the imaginative reality. These are all just terms at the end of the day, but it really is reflecting the same thing, which is the world of consciousness. That is where we want to be living most of the time. That is where we want our dominant focus to be so that we can attract more of that towards us. So shifting your state is like similar to Neville Goddard's Isn't It Wonderful technique, if you've heard of that, which is basically saying on a loop in your mind, affirming, isn't it wonderful, isn't it wonderful, isn't it wonderful? And by saying isn't it wonderful, you're basically implying and impressing on your subconscious mind that, not just one specific thing is happening, not just one manifestation coming into your life, but everything wonderful just happens to you in your life. Now, I personally don't use Neville Goddard's Isn't It Wonderful because that terminology doesn't really resonate with me because I don't really say those kind of things like, isn't it wonderful? But what I'll say is, I have everything. My life is perfect. I love my life. I literally have everything. So even when the 3D is showing me, let's say a challenge is happening externally to me in the 3D, which is the lower world of illusions, it's not the real reality, I can reaffirm that affirmation in my head that, wait a minute, this is not the true reality. The true reality lives in my consciousness. The true reality is in the miraculous world where what do you mean I have everything I need? I am living mentally in a state where I have everything. So I don't need to get sucked into the illusion of the 3D world where it looks like I don't have the thing I'm desiring, but really I do in consciousness. And because I do in consciousness, I know it's only a matter of time before it reflects back to me in my 3D world. When I say to myself, everything works out for me, everything is perfect in my life, I love my life, I have everything I need, I have everything I want. When I say these things, this brings me up to a higher state. It brings me back to my truth and the reality, which is my consciousness, the miraculous world. It reminds me oh yeah, life exists in my consciousness. I am the conscious creator of my life, and I'm not going to allow the external world, the illusionary world, to show me anything different. The way that this world is it has to reflect back to you your dominant consciousness. Where is the state that you are dwelling in, as Neville Goddard would say. Now, all of these things could have just gone in one ear and out the other. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you know these things intellectually, you have to actually just do it. Actually change your inner story. Affirm to yourself mentally, meaning the daily thoughts that you have every single day. Make sure they're in alignment with the life that you're creating. And don't only just affirm for what you want, but affirm for how you feel now that you have what you want in the miraculous world. Affirm it to yourself, feel it within yourself, live in that state mentally, regardless of what's going on in the external. The thing is that we must be able to see our desires mentally before we can even see it physically. Now, even if you're just affirming on a loop, and not really fully believing what you're saying or feeling into it, which a lot of people call robotic affirming, which is just affirming like a robot, as I learned from Sammy Ingram, even if you don't feel it initially, with the persistence of repeating statement to yourself, eventually you will feel it. But you need to stay faithful and loyal to the only reality, which is your consciousness. You have to understand that your subconscious is absorbing everything that you're feeding into it. We must be able to see it mentally before we can see it physically, because mentally is the cause. Our imagination, our consciousness, that is the cause of our reality. Now, of course, this one video could only cover so much, which is why I put together an entire book laying out in a very practical way, blending in Kabbalah, blending in Neville Goddard, blending in Joe Dispenza's teachings, Joseph Murphy's teaching, all of these great leaders' teachings and what I've learned from them and from what I've implemented in my own life. And I put it together in this little mini book that you could find on www.rahaza.com or in the description down below if you guys are interested in diving more into that, learning more about what I'm talking about in this video. So that is all for me in this video, guys. I hope you got value out of it. If you did, please leave it a like and a comment down below letting me know what was the most valuable thing that you feel you got from this video. Hit that subscribe button for new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And without further ado, I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Love you.